All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm just going to pop off here and let our hosts take over. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, everyone. We're so thrilled to be here for, I cannot believe it, but our final morning book buzz of 2021. It's been quite a year, and we are just really excited to talk books with you again, and we really want to just thank you for being such a great, supportive group. Throughout 2021. So I am Jen Childs, and I'm going to be telling you about some of my favorite books today, and I'll let my co-hosts introduce themselves.
Hi, I am Sharnell Johnson, and I'm excited to share all of the romances that you need to look out for.
Oh, Liz, we can't hear you. Are you muted?
Yes, and you had just said, remember about the mute, and I didn't
I
think you
do
were
it
talking
all the
about
time.
me.
I do it all the time.
Hi, I'm Liz Camfjord, and yeah, we're so thrilled to have you here and just join us in all of our book loving passion.
Great. Just a quick reminder. I know most of you know this, but we do have a key on our slides that indicate what formats. We are format agnostic. We don't care if you read the print book, the ebook, listen to the audio book, read the large print. And we've indicated on the slides what each book is available in. And also we have the Happy Orange E that indicates that the book is available as an e-galley, usually both on NetGalley and Edelweiss, but search both if you can't find it on one. And also, I'll just mention one more thing. I know a lot of people try and scribble down everything that we're saying. Just a reminder that we will be sending out copies of the slides with our wrap up to everyone who attends. So just sit back and relax, and you'll get all of the details when we send out the wrap up. And so I know there are a lot of best lists going around. Um, everyone loves to see what other people like to read. And so we want to see what your favorite book of 2021 was. So please do tag us on Twitter, use the PRH Morning Buzz hashtag, and tell us your favorite book of 2021. And so, to play the game, we all had to think of our favorite one. And I know it's really, really tough to pick just one. So I have to say, I think most people will agree that 2021 has still been a challenging year. We had hopes that things were going to get easier, and while they did, um, I still definitely gravitated towards books that were hopeful. And I would have to say that one of my favorite books this year was Little Pieces of Hope by Todd Dowdy, which, is just a really, really wonderful celebration of happy making things in a difficult world. And it does help that we know Todd. He's a publicist here at Penguin Random House. We love him. He is one of the greatest people ever. And I'm really thankful that he gifted this wonderful book to us. So I have to recommend if you're looking for just a pick me up, definitely check out his book.
Yeah, I think, there are so many good ones to choose from, and especially because of the kind of uh, the last 2 years we've had. I have been just really adamant and diving into all of the books that help me escape. So one
Agree.
that snuck up on me that I wasn't really prepared for was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. That one I just read, and I think that it's up there in my favorites for this year for sure. It is a slow burn, but when it burns bright. So just be prepared.
Fun. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, escape is key.
You're so poetic today, Charnel. Which leads me to what I turn to, which is poetry in times of trouble or any times. This is my probably, I mean, favorite book of the year, that's too hard to say, but Index of Women by Amy Gersler, I've followed her whole career of poetry. And she's just witty, she's smart. This particular book is told through the voices of real and imagined women of all ages. Just to entice you, one title of one of her poems is "An Aging Opera Singer Speaks at Her First AA Meeting." So it's really fun, but also deep and all the things that I love about poetry.
Fun. Very nice. So it's your turn now. Please do tweet us and share your favorite books. And then, we keep thinking the year is coming to a close, but we have one of our biggest events still ahead of us. I hope you all have heard about the Penguin Random House Winter Book and Author Festival, which is taking place on December 9th. We have put a lot of work into this, and we are so excited to offer you, I've forgotten the final number, but it's something like 38 Penguin Random House authors between us and our client publishers will be appearing on live and pre-recorded panels. We have a fun day. Library Journal we're working with Library Journal on this, so the format will be similar to Day of Dialogue. We'll have booths, we'll have giveaways. As you can see, some of our top authors here, Marlon James is going to be speaking, Adriana Trigiani, Chris Bajalian, Lisa Scottolini. We just really kind of outdid ourselves, if I do say so myself, with this spectacular lineup of authors. It's free. You can sign up and dip in, dip out. You can visit the archive afterwards. So I do hope you'll join us. I think it's going to be a really amazing day. And I'll also point out that our colleagues at the kids group will be joining us as well. So there will be both adult authors and kids authors appearing. So there's kind of something for all your patrons. So please do sign up.
All right. And we've got another awesome event. Join Brightly for another Storytime Live. Tune in on Saturday, December 11th at 1 p.m. for some fun winter themed stories and a special Winter Wonderland art show. This is a free event, so please encourage your patrons to join in too. You just have to register using the link on the screen. And do remember that this will be sent to you in the wrap up after we're done. And we also have some really great virtual events this month, including Dr. Brene Brown and Amanda Gorman. So for more information about these events and many, many, many more, you can follow the link on this screen. And we've got a sweepstakes. Enter for your chance to win this collection of cookbooks. Just click or follow the link on the screen to get started. And if one of you does happen to win, remember me while you are baking from the Best Cookie Ever book, because that one looks amazing.
More holiday fun. You can visit our blog at Borrow, Read, Repeat to deck your shelves with books for Christmas. So we've got a range of heartwarming stories, from mysteries to also audiobooks, even coloring books. So they're activities, just the whole gamut of holiday books, and really fun to look at. And then we also wanted to talk about books that we all are gifting our family and friends. So again, we were talking about our favorite books of the year, and these will be our favorite books that we're giving people this year, and perhaps they will inspire you as well. A whole range of fiction and nonfiction, which you can see on our blog, our PRH library blog.
You're muted.
Goodness gracious. I was just saying that we have arrived to the best slide, in my opinion. Fall in love this holiday season, and I don't mind if I do. We've got 6 really awesome romantic Books for you, and up first is Ramon and Juliet by Alana Quintana Albertson. Ramon Montez always achieves his goals, whether that means collecting Ivy League degrees or growing his father's fast food empire. Nothing sets Ramon off course. So, when the sexy senorita who kissed him on the Day of the Dead runs off into the night with his heart, he is determined to do whatever it takes to find her again. Celebrity chef Julieta Campos has sacrificed everything to save her seed to table taqueria from closing. To her horror, she discovers that her new landlord is none other than the magnetic mariachi she hooked up with on Dia de los Muertos. Even worse, it was his father who stole her mother's taco recipe decades ago. Julieta has no choice but to work with Ramon, the man who destroyed her life's work, and the one man who tempts and inspires her. As San Diego's outraged community protests against the Taco King takeover and the divide between their families grows, Ramon and Julieta struggle to balance the rising tensions. But Ramon knows that love, or true love, is priceless, and despite all of his successes, this is the one battle he refuses to lose. And then there is With Love from London by Sarah Gio. When Valentina Baker was only 11 years old, her mother Eloise unexpectedly fled to her native London, leaving Val and her father on their own in California. Now a librarian in her 30s, fresh out of a failed marriage and still at odds with her mother's abandonment, Val feels disenchanted with her life. In a bittersweet twist of fate, she receives word that Eloise has died, leaving Val the deed to her mother's Primrose Hill apartment and the book garden, the storied bookshop she opened almost 2 decades prior. Though the news is devastating, Val jumps at the chance for a new beginning and jets across the Atlantic, hoping to learn who her mother truly was while mourning the relationship they never had. As Val begins to piece together Eloise's life in the UK, she finds herself falling in love with the pastel colored third floor flat and the cozy, treasure filled bookshop, soon realizing that her mother's life was much more complicated than she had ever imagined. And when Val stumbles across a series of intriguing notes left in a beloved old novel, she sets out to locate the book's mysterious former owner, though her efforts are challenged from the start, as is the book garden's future. In order to save the store from financial ruin and preserve her mother's legacy, she must rally its eccentric staff and journey deep into her mother's secrets. With Love from London is a story about healing and loss, revealing the emotional, relatable truths about love, family, and forgiveness. And then there is I'm So Not Over You. It's been months since aspiring journalist Kian Andrews has heard from his ex-boyfriend Hudson Rivers, but an urgent text has them meeting at a cafe. Maybe Hudson wants to profusely apologize for the breakup or confess his undying love, but no, Hudson has a favor to ask. He wants Kian to pretend to be his boyfriend while his parents are in town, and Kian reluctantly agrees. The dinner doesn't go exactly as planned, and suddenly Kian is Hudson's plus one to George's wedding of the season. Hudson comes from a wealthy family where reputation is everything, and he really can't afford another mistake. If Kian goes, he'll help Hudson preserve appearances and get the opportunity to rub shoulders with some of the biggest names in media. This could be the big career break he needs. But their fake relationship is starting to feel like it might be more than a means to an end, and it's time for both men to fact check their feelings. And then we have the second book by Jesse Q. Sutano called Four Aunties and a Wedding. In it, Maddie Chan has been to countless weddings, but she never imagined how her own would turn out. Now that the day has arrived, she can't wait to marry her college sweetheart, Nathan. Instead of Ma and the aunts catering her wedding, Maddie wants all of them to enjoy the day as guests. So, as a compromise, they find the perfect wedding vendors, a Chinese Indonesian family run company just like theirs. Meddy is hesitant at first, but she hits it off right away with the wedding photographer Stephanie, who reminds Meddy of herself, down to the unfortunately misspelled name. However, Meddy realizes that is where their similarities end when she overhears Stephanie talking about taking out a target. Horrified, Meddy can't believe Stephanie and her family aren't just like her own. They are the family, actually, mafia, and they're using Meddy's wedding as a chance to conduct shady business. Her aunties and mother won't let Meddy's wedding ceremony become a murder scene and will do whatever it takes to save her special day, even if it means taking on the mafia. And then we have A Duke, the Spy, an Artist, and a Lie by Vanessa Riley. Love that title. For adventurous Jamaican heiress Cecilia Thomas, marrying charming military lieutenant Lord Gantry to save him from danger and herself from mercenary suitors was a painful mistake. Instead of a passionate life together, she's stranded at his chilly Mayfair mansion with his unaccepting family. Worse, she finds he is actually a spy dedicated to duty over wedlock and secrets over trust. So, when she hears her sister has been driven to her death, Cecilia is determined to expose the powerful man responsible. Assisted by the widow's Grace, she flees to the Covent Garden where her with a new identity. But can she elude her formidable husband even as the desire between them continues to flare even hotter? Always calm, forever controlled Gantry has put everything aside to hunt down the traitor who nearly killed him. It's only when Cecilia learns that he, or it's only when Cecilia leaves that he realizes his real duty should have been to her. She continually outwits him throughout London's most perilous streets, and Gantry realizes his wife is a resourceful, courageous woman he longs to truly know. But when her pursuit threatens influential enemies, will his and Cecilia's only chance to gain justice separate them once and for all? And last, I have Queerly Beloved by Susie Dumond. At her day job in a Christian bakery, and with her conservative family, Amy plays the role of a straight church-going young woman, exactly what's expected in mid 2010s in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the buckle of the Bible Belt. But at night, she tends bar at the only place in town that truly feels like home, Ruby Red's, a lovably grungy queer bar with a group of regulars who have become her chosen family. Amy spent a lifetime learning how to walk this fine line, so focused on making others feel comfortable that she doesn't even realize she's lost touch with her own needs and desires. Still, everything seems fine, especially when Amy falls into a whirlwind romance with Charlie, a charming newcomer to Tulsa. But then Amy is suddenly fired from her bakery job. When a friend begs her to fill in for one of her bridesmaids at her wedding, and offers to pay Amy more than she makes in a single night at Ruby Red's, she can't afford to turn it down. As her relationship with Charlie heats up, this one off opportunity turns into a full time business thanks to Amy's baking talents, crafting skills, and deep desire to please. But between weddings, bachelorette parties, bridal showers, and dress fittings, Amy's in her element. Her years of watching rom-coms and Say Yes to the Dress finally paying off, but at what cost? Gay marriage is not yet legal, yet she's planning or playing the role of a straight girl working hard to facilitate strangers' special days, even while she's secretly dreaming of her potential own wedding to Charlie. When Amy's precarious balancing act strains her relationship to the breaking point, she must decide what it looks like to be her true self and if she has the courage to try.
A new year, a new you. Hope springs eternal. Every year, we have a chance to really focus on ourselves and how we can be happier and have less anxiety, and all those great things. So we have 6 books I'm going to share that are perfect for your patrons while they're really focused on this time. First up is Emotional. You make hundreds of decisions every day, from what to eat to breakfast to how you should invest, and not one of those decisions would be possible without emotion. It has long been said that thinking and feeling are separate and opposing forces in our behavior. But as Leonard Mlodinow, the best-selling author of Subliminal, tells us, extraordinary advances in psychology and neuroscience have proven that emotions are as critical to our well-being as thinking. How can you connect better with others? How can you make sense of your frustration, fear, and anxiety? What can you do to live a happier life? The answers lie in understanding your emotions. Journeying from the labs of pioneering scientists to real-world scenarios that have flirted with disaster, Blondnow shows us how our emotions can help, why they sometimes hurt, and what we can learn in both instances. Using deep insights into our evolution and biology, the author gives us the tools to understand our emotions better and to maximize their benefits. Told with his characteristic clarity and fascinating stories, Emotional explores the new science of feelings and offers us an essential guide to making the most of one of nature's greatest gifts. And what if you could wake up every day without anxiety? I see a theme here. There's a lot of anxiety themes. What if you could view your past with purpose, not regret? Live in happy, live happy, peaceful, and free from fear. You can, and Gabrielle Bernstein will show you the way in Happy Days. Gabby has long been loved by her readers as a spiritual teacher, motivational speaker, and catalyst for profound inner change. Her new book presents her most powerful teaching yet, a plan for transforming the pain of your past, whatever that may be, into newfound strength and freedom. In the book, you'll learn why most people feel stuck in patterns that make them unhappy and what to do about it. You'll learn 9 transformational yet untapped techniques for serenity and genuine happiness, from techniques for reparenting yourself to bodywork practices for freeing the stuck energy of past trauma. The mindset shifts that can do more for you than decades of personal work. Also, how to go into the places that scare you and come away freer than ever before. Next, a silent epidemic of chronic illnesses affect tens of millions of Americans. These are diseases that are poorly understood, frequently marginalized, and can go undiagnosed and unrecognized altogether. In The Invisible Kingdom, renowned writer Megan O'Rourke delivers a revelatory investigation into the elusive category of invisible illness that encompasses autoimmune diseases, post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome, and now even long COVID syndrome. Um, Drawing on her own medical experiences, as well as a decade of interviews with doctors, patients, researchers, and public health experts, O'Rourke traces the history of Western definitions of illnesses and reveals how inherited ideas of cause, diagnosis, and treatment have led us to ignore a host of hard-to-understand medical conditions, one that resists easy description or simple cures. And as America faces this health crisis of extraordinary proportions, the population most likely to be neglected by our institutions include women, the working class, and people of color. The Invisible Kingdom offers hope for the sick, solace and insight for their loved ones, and a radical new understanding of our bodies and our health. In Everyday Sisu, discover how the happiest people on earth survive and thrive through tough times using inner strength and courage. Sisu, which I hope I'm pronouncing right, but I might not be, is a powerful mindset that makes Finland one of the happiest countries in the world despite long winters, social isolation, and a history of challenging times. In Everyday Sisu, journalist Katja Panzar explores the simple practices that make Finnish life so stable, sustainable, and healthy for body and mind, even when life doesn't go as planned, which happens pretty often these days. You'll discover ways to boost your mental and physical resilience to face life's challenges head on, including connecting with nature, strengthening community, using what you have, reframing what you can't control, adopting a solutions mindset, finding strength in the struggle. Featuring insights from Finnish experts in mental health, wellness, sustainability, social justice, and more, this practical and empowering guide presents a roadmap for overcoming what you thought you couldn't and finding hope and tools to create a brighter way forward. Um, Everyone knows that sometimes, though, life just sucks. Even world famous actress, author, and creator Lily Singh. In Be a Triangle, Lily provides a safe space where readers can learn how to create a sense of peace within themselves. Without sugarcoating what it's like to face adversity, including Lily's intensely personal struggles with identity, success, and self-doubt, she teaches readers to unsubscribe from cookie-cutter ideals. With her signature blend of vulnerability, insight, and humor, Lily instructs readers to be a triangle. You must build a solid foundation for your life, one that can be built upon but never fundamentally changed or destroyed. As she puts it, we must always find a way to come home to ourselves. We must create a place, a set of beliefs, a simple set of priorities to come back to should life lead us astray, which it will. Like a wise, empathetic friend who always keeps you honest, Lily pushes you to adjust your mindset and change the conversations you have with yourself. The result is a deeply humane, entertaining, and uplifting guide to befriending yourself and becoming a true miracle for the world. And then finally, Embrace Your Almost is a no-nonsense guide to the life you long for, even when it doesn't go according to plan. From the best-selling author of Own Your Everyday. Jordan Lee Dooley knows firsthand how devastating it can be when you almost achieve a goal, almost reach a dream, and almost get to where you want to be, only to land just short of the finish line or watch it all fall apart at the last minute. Disrupted, delayed, or even seemingly destroyed dreams have a way of making us rethink everything. But perhaps rethinking dreams is not always the worst thing. In those moments, you have a chance to pause, consider what matters most to you, as well as to redefine what success looks like for you in a world that's constantly telling you what you should want or should do. Believe it or not, it's possible to cultivate a life you really like and one where you can succeed in the tension of the middle between where you started and where you hope to be. Life is filled with unexpected interruptions, almost but not quite moments, uncertainty, and in between seasons. As hard as those experiences may be, they also offer a unique invitation to align your dreams and goals with what matters most. Learn how you can gain greater clarity about what you truly want, why you want it, and how to begin pursuing it. So there you go, 6 books. I feel like I need to read all 6 of them.
Now we have fiction, some escape, but also some really revelatory truths about coming of age. So first, Very Cold People is Sarah Manguso's autobiographical debut novel. It navigates the intersection of whiteness and social class in America. It's been called a shattering account of growing up and out of the suffocating constraints of small town America. So our protagonist, Ruthie, lives in a frozen, snow-padded town of Waitsfield, Massachusetts. It's all she's ever known. But this is no picturesque New England. Very Cold People tells Ruthie's story through her eyes, from the shame handed down through her immigrant forebears and indomitable mother to the violences endured by her high school friends, each suffering a fate worse than the last. For Ruthie, Waitsfield is a place to be survived, a place where the people are as cold as the winters. The author grew up in Massachusetts. She now lives here in Los Angeles. She's really an amazing writer, and you can read profiles about her in the New Yorker and the Nation. And then we have Scarlett in Blue, and talk about a protagonist's name that is interesting. For Blue Lake, her entire life, she and her mother, Scarlett, have been on the run from Capital Him, the man who Scarlett, a talented and enigmatic painter, insists is chasing them. But now at 15 years old, Blue has begun to resent the nomadic life that once seemed like an adventure. She's questioning the reality of this pursuant who she's never seen, and she just wants to live a normal life in one place. When her mother, Scarlett, and Blue arrive in the beachfront town of South Haven, Michigan, it seems that Blue's wishes might finally come true for stability. She makes a good friend, she's falling in love for the first time, and she's found a piano teacher who recognizes her budding talent. Yet she really can't shake her worry about her mother, whose eccentricities and art are only becoming more difficult to understand. Scarlett, meanwhile, has very different intentions for living in South Haven. She's there to have the help of a psychoanalyst named Henry. She's determined to overcome her traumatic past. The novel's told through alternating voices of these three characters, Blue, Scarlett, and Henry. It's a page turner about past trauma, the healing power of art, and how it can hold our lives together, and mostly the enduring bonds between mother and child. So reading about this book really made me think of the Netflix drama that I loved based on the memoir The Maid, about the mother-daughter relationship, mental illness, a lot of the issues that come up where the child is sort of parent to the parent. It's a perfect book for book clubs with themes that are so ripe for discussion. Again, mental illness, past trauma, the mother-daughter dynamics, and also the balance of artistic genius and madness. The author, Jennifer Murphy, is a practicing artist herself. She hails from a small beachfront Michigan town, and her debut novel, You May Know, which was I Love You More, won the prestigious Nancy Pearl Fiction Award in 2014. And then we have The Stone World. So this is the first novel from an award-winning translator and memoirist, Joel Agee. He's the son of James Agee, who's most famous for his novel, A Death in the Family. Joel's never written about this part of his life. So here we have another autobiographical novel. This is told from the perspective of the young boy Peter, son of a writer. It begins when he's 6 years old, living in a house with a large garden in a small Mexican town in the late 1940s. Peter reads, dreams, plays with his friends. He's a budding explorer, an artist, philosopher, mystic, and scientist. He's got the whole world before him, living in this interesting community of leftist European emigres who found refuge in Mexico from the Nazis and fascism. They're connecting with Mexican labor activists and other leftists, such as Frida Kahlo features in the book. Still, there's a longing for home amongst these emigres, but it's really not quite safe to return to Europe. Peter's stepfather wants to return to his native Germany, and Peter begins to understand that he might be forced to leave everything he knows in Mexico. His best friend, his favorite, the family's maid, Zita, who's taught him the power of prayer. And this is a novel where innocence meets experience. It's steeped in the magic and myths of childhood, set against the instability and political turmoil of the time. And it's a portrait of a family and really a fascinating little known time in Mexico. Although, again, the movie Frida, which I loved, about Frida Kahlo, touched upon this particular time and culture. And next we have True Biz, another truly unique novel, as it's written by Sarah Novick, who's deaf, and the novel takes readers into the halls of a residential school for the deaf in Ohio. Readers will meet Charlie, who's a rebellious transfer student. He's never met another deaf person before. Austin, the school's golden boy, whose world is rocked when his baby sister is born hearing. And February, the headmistress of the school, who's fighting to keep her school open and her marriage intact, and it's becoming difficult to do both. As a series of personal and political crises threaten to unravel each of them, these three characters, Charlie, Austin, and February, find their lives inextricably bound and changed forever. This is a unique story with sign language and lip reading, disability and civil rights, isolation and injustice, first love and loss, and really, above all, the unforgettable journey into the deaf community, a novel where you can really learn so much. Again, the author is deaf. She's a national media go-to expert about deaf issues. And you may know her debut novel, which was Girl at War, and that won an Alex Award. She really can write. There's so little fiction about deafness. And I'm reminded, again, I watch a lot of movies, of the movie The Sound of Metal, if any of you have seen it, which also deals with similar issues between the hearing and non-hearing community. And this will be also has been optioned to be a film. It's also going to have original illustrations throughout it by an American Sign Language artist, a deaf artist, Brittany Castle. And then we have Groundskeeping, another debut novel set against the backdrop of Kentucky. This portrays polarized political attitudes within families, which around the holidays, many of us very familiar with. In the run-up to the 2016 election, in our novel, Owen Callahan, who's an aspiring writer, moves back to Kentucky to live with his Trump-supporting uncle and grandfather. He's eager to clean up his act after wasting his time and potential in his early 20s, so he takes a job as a groundskeeper at a small local college, in exchange for which he's allowed to take writing courses. He meets Alma Hasdick there, who's a writer in residence, who seems to have everything that Owen lacks, a prestigious position, an Ivy League education, and success as a writer. And they begin a secret relationship. As they grow closer, Alma, who comes from a very liberal Bosnian immigrant family, really struggles to understand Owen's fraught relationship with his family and home. This is truly a new variety of campus novel. It's painting the campus story into a larger portrait of a diverse America. And it's earned extraordinary early acclaim with its sense of place, calling to mind Richard Russo and Wallace Stegner, and also with elements of Elif Batuman's The Idiot and John Williams's novel Stoner. And lastly, we have Housebreaking. This is also set in a small New England town. It's a spare and strangely magical book about a family feud. For our protagonist, Dell, home is not where her heart is. After a local scandal led to her parents' divorce and the rest of her family rejected her, she left her small town and cut off all contact. But now her parents have passed away, they've left her the family home, and her uncle wants it. Instead of handing the place over, and with no other resources at her disposal, Dell decides she will tear the place apart herself, piece by piece. She soon discovers the task stirs up more than just old memories, for as Dell's relatives, each in their own state of unraveling, come knocking on her door. The author, Colleen Hubbard, writes of what she knows, having grown up in a very poor New England town. She got her MFA at the University of Virginia and was mentored by Clara Massoud and Elizabeth Strout. She wrote this novel miraculously while on maternity leave from her job with the National Health Service in the UK. So I'm full of admiration for that. We've also bought 2 more books from this talented author. It sort of reminds me of Otessa Mosfe, and Death in Her Hands, excuse me. Somewhat eccentric, somewhat dark, and quite fascinating. Thank you.
Great. Now on to some big spring names. I'm sure you will have heard of all of these people, but we just wanted to give you kind of a heads up on some of the big books that are coming this spring. First up is a sweeping novel of historical fiction for readers of The Book of Longings, The Giver of Stars, and Great Circle. With Violeta Isabel Allende, the New York Times best-selling author of A Long Petal of the Sea, tells the epic story of Violeta del Valle, a woman whose life spans 100 years and bears witness to the greatest upheavals of the 20th century. Violeta comes into the world on a stormy day in 1920, the first girl in a family with 5 boisterous sons. From the start, her life is marked by extraordinary events, for the ripples of the Great War are still being felt, even as the Spanish flu arrives on the shores of her South American homeland almost at the moment of her birth. Through her father's prescience, the family will come through that crisis unscathed, only to face a new one with the Great Depression. Her family loses everything and is forced to retreat to a wild and beautiful but remote part of the country. There she will come of age, and her first suitor will come calling. She tells her story in the form of a letter to someone she loves above all others, recounting times of devastating heartbreak and passionate affairs, poverty and wealth, terrible loss, and immense joy. Her life is shaped by some of the most important events of history: the fight for women's rights, the rise and fall of tyrants, and ultimately not one but 2 pandemics. The result is a tale of a woman whose unforgettable passion, determination, and sense of humor carry her through a lifetime of upheaval, an epic both fiercely inspiring and deeply emotional. The book will be available in both English and Spanish language editions. Next, I think this quote from O Magazine sums up the next book perfectly. If you have a Jane Austen would have been my best friend complex, which I know a lot of us do, look no further. Barron has painstakingly sifted through the famed author's letters and writings, as well as extensive biographical information, to create a finely detailed portrait of Austen's life with a dash of fictional murder, some of the most enjoyable, well-written fanfic ever created. Jane and the Year Without a Summer is the 14th book in this series and sees Jane in ill health. Her apothecary recommends a trial of the curative waters at Cheltenham Spa in Gloucestershire. Jane decides to use some of the profits earned from her last novel, Emma, and treat herself to a period of rest and reflection at the spa in the company of her sister Cassandra. The spa hardly turns out to be the relaxing sojourn Jane and Cassandra envision. It is immediately obvious that other boarders at the guest house where the Misses Austen are staying have come with stresses of their own, some of them deadly. But perhaps with Jane's interference, a terrible crime might be prevented. Set during the Year Without a Summer, when the eruption of Mount Tambora in the South Pacific caused a volcanic winter that shrouded the entire planet for 16 months. Then next up, we have a brilliant collection of essays from beloved author Margaret Atwood. In over 50 pieces, Atwood aims her prodigious intellect and impish humor at the world and reports back to us on what she finds. The roller coaster period covered in the collection brought an end to the end of history, a financial crash, the rise of Trump and the pandemic, from debt to tech, the climate crisis to freedom, from when to dispense advice to the young, answer only when asked, and how to define granola. We have no better guide than Atwood to the many and varied mysteries of our universe. Plus, also answers to these burning questions. Why do people everywhere in all cultures tell stories? How much of yourself can you give away without evaporating? How can we live on our planet? Is it true and is it fair? And what do zombies have to do with authoritarianism? Next, I'm so thrilled to have a major new novel from Ann Tyler, the beloved Pulitzer Prize-winning author. Here we have a freshly observed, funny, joyful, brilliantly perceptive journey deep into one family's foibles from the 1950s up to our pandemic present. The Garretts take their first and last family vacation in the summer of 1959. They hardly ever venture beyond Baltimore, but in some ways they have never been farther apart. Mercy has trouble resisting the siren call of her aspiration to be a painter, which means less time keeping house for her husband. Robin, their teenage daughters, steady and boy crazy Lily could not have less in common. Their youngest, David, is already intent on escaping his family's orbit for reasons none of them understand. Yet as these lives advance across decades, the Garretts' influences on one another ripple ineffably but unmistakably through each generation. Full of heartbreak and hilarity, French Braid is classic Ann Tyler, a stirring, uncannily insightful novel of tremendous warmth and humor that illuminates the kindness and cruelties of our daily lives, the impossibility of breaking free from those who love us, and how close, yet how unknowable, every family is to itself. What really matters in life? What truly lasts in our hearts and minds? Where can we find community, history, humanity? In this lyrical new book, the answer is clear: through writing. This is a book for what Quinlan calls civilians, those who want to use the written word to become more human, more themselves. Write for Your Life argues that there has never been a more important time to stop and record what we are thinking and feeling, using examples from past, present, and future, from Anne Frank to Toni Morrison, from love letters written after World War II to journal reflections from nurses and doctors today. Write for Your Life vividly illuminates the ways in which people's writing connects us to ourselves and to those we cherish. Drawing on her personal experiences not just as a writer but as a mother and daughter, Anna Quinlan makes the case that recording our daily lives in writing is essential. And then finally, book club maven Adriana Trigiani transports readers back to Italy in The Good Left Undone. In the halcyon days of the past, Domenica Cabrelli thrives in the coastal town of Viareggio until the day her beloved home becomes unsafe, as Italy teeters on the brink of World War II. As her journey takes her from the rocky shores of Marseille to the mystical beauty of Scotland, to the dangers of wartime Liverpool, where Italian Scots were imprisoned without cause, Domenica experiences love, loss, and grief as she longs for home. 100 years later, her daughter Matilda and her great-granddaughter Anina face the same big questions about life and their family's legacy as Matilda contemplates what is worth fighting for and when to let go. But Matilda is running out of time, and the two timelines intersect and weave together in an unexpected and heartbreaking way that leads the family to redemption. I know Trigiani is a library favorite. Just my reminder that she will be joining us at the PRH Book and Author Festival on December 9th, so you can hear about this book in her own words. So don't forget to sign up for the festival if you haven't.
It's really exciting. And what's also exciting, uh, Allie Hazelwood, her debut novel, The Love Hypothesis, which is my favorite of 2021, took the book world by storm when it debuted on the New York Times and USA Today bestseller lists, and became a trending or a viral trend on TikTok with more than 25 million views. There is much more to come because Penguin Random House Audio will publish 3 novellas from Hazelwood, available first as audiobooks. It will be Under One Roof, Stuck with You, and Below Zero. All 3 novellas will also be available as ebook editions in summer 2022. This new audio first romance trilogy remains set in the world of STEM and follows 3 best friends, Mara, Sadie, and Hannah, who learn that when it comes to love and science, opposites may be engineered to attract, but it's the rivals who will make you burn. Hazelwood continues to put her unique spin um, on the romance genre's most beloved tropes, Heartfelt emotion and complex characters combine to create 3 must-listen audio novellas, and I cannot wait.
Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Can't believe we're coming to the end of season 2. We are working on the plan for season 3. We will not be having a January morning book buzz just due to the Lib Learn X show and a lot of other events that we have going on. But we will make sure you know about our next February morning book buzz and the schedule going forward. So again, thank you all for being a part of our year. This is, I know we've heard from so many that you love it, and honestly, we love it too. It's so great to connect with you all and to hear about your favorite books. So, best wishes for a happy holidays and a happy new year. Hopefully, we'll see you at the festival, and we'll see you next year, if not.
Bye, happy
Bye.
holidays.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.